right, what's up, good people? Trenton Davis, Father's Day Podcast, episode 15. Today is Monday, April 2nd. Happy belated April Fool's Day. Happy belated Easter. How was your Easter, good people? My Easter was cool. I was at Pachanga all weekend in Temecula performing. We're going to talk about that because something happened this weekend, and I would just love to share with the people. But Sunday, I get my daughter for Easter. It's weird, right? So I'm going through this whole custody thing. And so the way the orders work is you get every other holiday, and then it swaps on either even or odd years or whatever. So I get her for Easter, and then, I don't know what's the next holiday. Is there a holiday in April? I don't think so. Is it? No, but whatever. So the next holiday that's considered a national holiday or whatever, she would get her. Which I don't mind. It was a little bit warm in Pachanga yesterday, so we got to swim, and that was cool. And we just kicked it. We just kicked it all weekend. I'm in a hotel right now because I'm in between living residences. Right? I moved out last week. Last week was crazy because I moved out and I don't have a place to stay. And this is weird. I want to talk about it. It is odd not having a place to stay, but it's also super freeing, if that makes sense. I got a job, a good job. I'm gainfully employed. And so I have the money to get a place. I just didn't find what I liked, and I didn't want to just sign something, another year lease, just to say, okay, I got a place. And I think part of that is because, without getting into too much detail, when I was with my ex for the last 2 years, so from 2016 and 2017, I didn't want to sign my lease. The relationship was bad. I didn't want to sign my lease, but I guilted myself or whatever into saying, okay, we're going to try to make it work one more time. And I think it jaded me, right? So I don't want to do any kind of commitments. I don't want any phone commitments. I don't want any girlfriend commitments. I don't want any lease commitments, nothing. And so when it was time for this lease to be up, I was ready to get out of the house because my house was bigger than what a single male needs to have a house. And that's not me being bragging. It's just I had a house that was for a family, and now it was just me. And when it came down to trying to find a place, I just wasn't all that gung-ho about signing a lease for another $2,000 a month for somewhere that I didn't love. So I kind of got an idea of what I want. I know it's not necessarily easy, and it's within my price budget, but I feel like it's going to happen. The universe has made other stuff happen really forever, but definitely for me, very evident over the last 6 months to a year, but specifically this year. And so I'm like, all right, the universe has blessed me with this great job. I'm blessed with money. Comedy's going really well. Things are working well with Harlan and figuring that schedule out. So, I'm not going to be out. I'm not going to be somewhere living out of a car. So it'll work out when it works out. There's a part of me that I'm questioning. Do I go back to L.A.? I currently live about an hour and a half southeast of L.A. So the answer is, do I go back to L.A.? Which also means I'm an hour and a half away from my daughter. I don't like that. Now, I'm still going to see her. Don't get me wrong. Still get her on my days and get her for my weekends. And so I was telling my parents, it's not about the days I do get her. That's a no-brainer. But being an hour and a half away makes the days that I don't get her hard, right? And when I say the days that I don't get her, sometimes I don't have her on, she's not in my custody, but I can still go to the school and volunteer at school. Or I can still go to soccer practice or go to dance practice. So I still can get to see her without actually having custody of her that day. And if I move an hour and a half away, that kind of doesn't happen. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, if there's a right answer. What does going to L.A. bring me? I'm in L.A. a couple times a week, hour and a half there, hour and a half back, blah, 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 blah. And so it just means I don't have to make that drive. But ultimately, I'll be giving up that drive to do the other way and go back to Temecula, an hour and a half that way. So I don't know if that makes sense. So that's kind of what's going on. But like I said, I was in Pachanga all weekend, and Pachanga was cool. I was headlining. I think this is my first or second weekend headlining Pachanga. I can't remember. It must be my first. It must be my first weekend headlining Pachanga. And so, because I've only been headlining clubs, legit headlining clubs for about 18 months now. So I've been doing comedy for 13 years, but it takes a while, blah, blah, blah. And it was great. It was cool. Friday was 190, almost 200 people. Saturday sold out. And then Sunday was Easter Sunday, so that crowd wasn't as great. It was probably like 50 people, but it was a great weekend. But something happened this weekend, and it was just a weird occurrence. So long story short, I'm not going to say any names because I'm not trying to be an asshole, but Pachanga has a host MC who's good, and then we had a feature. Now, Pachanga is booked through a separate booking company. So as the headliner, I don't get to choose my feature. I'm not at that level yet where I can just choose my feature. I get a small say, like, hey, can I bring this person? But it's not the end-all, be-all as if I were Tracy Morgan or somebody like that. So I didn't know the feature coming in. I just met him, and I didn't know, what to think. I never heard about him, blah, blah, blah. And so he had a really bad set on Friday night. That's the nicest way I can put it. But it was a feature set, so it was really bad for almost 30 minutes, a full 30 minutes. And if you don't understand how long 30 minutes feels like when you're eating shit, I don't know. It was long, and it felt even worse for the audience. The audience, I have to say, the audience was so nice and so kind because about 10 minutes in, they stopped listening. About 15 minutes in, they just started talking amongst themselves, but they were never mean. They were never rude. They never threw anything out from them. They never yelled and told them to get off the stage. It was just, okay, so about 15 minutes in, they started talking amongst themselves. About 20 minutes in, they were feeling bad for him. And they were like, oh, bless his heart. God bless. It was so bad that it was awkward. And I tell people, it was like, remember you were growing up and you was at your buddy's house and your buddy got a spanking, but you was still there and you don't know how to react or talk. What do you say to him? They got a spanking. It's like, it was just weird. So it was bad. It was really, really, really bad. And I was in the audience watching because I try to watch before my set just to see what the audience is like. And it was bad. It was bad for me. And I remember looking at my phone like, oh, man. I went and talked to the host room. I said, maybe just light him early. And he was like, no, Trent, we're at 12 in. He's got another 18 minutes. And I was like, oh, God almighty. So it was bad, right? I'm going to leave it. He did music cues, but they weren't great song choices. It wasn't funny. It was bad. All right. And so then I go up, and so there's kind of two different trains of thought. There's one, right? If we're in this comedy fraternity and your brother is wounded, you don't leave him on the field to die. You save him, right? So there's the comedy fraternity is like, all right, don't talk shit about him. But then there's the other side, right? Of A, I'm a headliner. B, so when the feature does that, it makes it harder on the headliner. So you just made my job infinitely harder. B, though, we're professionals, right? And if you know that you're not doing well, you need to be professional enough to do one of two things. Either A, fix it, which after a minute 12, you're not going to fix it. It's not going to be fixed. You don't have all this secret material that you're going to pull out that's going to be totally different than the first 12 minutes of your set. So you're not going to fix it. But then also get off early. And when you see the light, immediately get off, right? It's not like, I understand the way the light works is you get the light and then 5 minutes later you wrap it up. But if you're eating shit, when you see the light, say thank you, good night. Immediately get off. Don't see the light and go into another bit that's just as bad as the previous 25 minutes. Oh, God, it was bad. I can't say it enough. So then he gets off. I go up. I have a great set, but I had to acknowledge it, right? It was so bad that you had to acknowledge. I remember doing a show in Oakland one time, and the show started late and whatever. And so I got up. I was closing out the show, And I didn't get up until 11 o'clock. I think the show started at like 9, maybe 9:30, but I didn't get up till 11. I'm the headliner, so I'm still doing another 45 minutes at that point. And I'll never forget, the people there have been drinking and blah, blah, blah. And I get up, and within the first 5 minutes of my set, a lady in the front row throws up. Blech. Oh, God. And imagine this now, right? So we're in a theater. Somebody throws up in the front row. The smell, oh God, it was just bad, right? And again, same thing. You have to acknowledge that as a comedian, as a professional. You think, okay, nope, just pretend like it didn't happen and keep going. You can't do that. The audience is not ridiculous, stupid. They know it happened. You got to acknowledge it, and then it's just the elephant in the room. Just get it out the way. And so I had to acknowledge it, and maybe I made the wrong choice. I don't know, but I had to acknowledge how painful and brutal the previous 30 minutes had been on the audience. I appreciated them for not turning on them and they could have been really bad. They were not. I appreciated them for just being as professional, if not more professional than him, to be honest. And so, I said, guys, it got a little weird. and literally the minute I said that, it's like everybody just kind of took a deep breath and busted out laughing. I was like, it was weird. I was like, look, I'm a comic, and I said, a lot of times we blame it on the audience. I was like, but it ain't y'all. I get it. It wasn't y'all tonight. And they started laughing. I said, but look, give them a break. Everybody has a bad day. You don't always have a great day. You ain't always MVP numbers at your job. And they laughed, and we got into the set, and that was it. So that was it. Finished the set, had a great set, people bought T-shirts, blah, blah, blah. Then I go outside, and I got a personal assistant. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I got a personal assistant that's helping me sell my shirts and things. And she tells me that the feature was like, she and him got into it, kind of got into it at the table. He was like, well, I need room to sell my shirts too. It's not just for Trenton. And that's fine, right? I don't care about table, and I never care about a feature or somebody selling merch alongside me. I really don't. I realize that the feature is making less money, and he or she needs to make money just like I do. So I really don't. But I will say this. There is a level of professional protocol. You give somebody a modicum of respect. And the feature never once said, hey, headliner, do you mind if I sell merch? He just said, hey, I'm selling merch alongside you, right? But I remember specifically asking every headliner that I ever worked with, do you mind if I sell merch? Or they would ask me in the beginning before I got it out. They'd say, hey, you selling something? Yeah. But you always, in my opinion, as a feature, you give the headliner the courtesy to say yes or no. Almost always, I would say 99% of the time, feature's gonna say no problem, right? I did have an occasion where a headliner asked me, he didn't ask me to not sell. He said, hey, can you sell over there so people don't get confused? That's fine. The headliner's probably been doing it 15 years. Your feature's probably been doing it 3 to 7 or whatever that number is. And so whatever. Give him or her the respect they deserve. And I was going to blame this on a millennial issue. Say, oh, this is a millennial. But it wasn't a millennial issue. This guy is older than me, right? So I'm 40. I think he's 44. And so it's I don't know. Is it a privilege issue? I don't know. But so on top of having a horrible set, he's now, just getting into it with my personal assistant about T-shirts, and not even asking me, hey, can I sell? So I should have said, no, now you can't sell. Now you don't sell nothing. But I didn't do that. All right, so that happens. Sell my merch, sell a lot of T-shirts, blah, blah, blah. That works. Then I'm having a drink after the show, and I'm starting to get texts on my phone. And I'm getting texts from the booking people both at the club and then also the offsite booking management company. And they're like, how bad was it? And look, I don't want to be a snitch, right? So I'm like, it was a tough night. That was my nice way of, I was saying it was a tough night, right? Then I get a call. Then one of the guys tells me, the manager says, nope, we already fired him. We're not going to do this for Saturday night. We fired him. So then I start feeling bad, like, God almighty. And this guy, he brought his wife with him. When you work in Pachanga, they put you up for the weekend. So I can imagine, right? I can imagine telling your wife, hey, baby, we're going to have a staycation, a home away from home, stay in a nice hotel all weekend, get in the pool, hang out. All I got to do is work 30 minutes a day downstairs in the comedy club. His wife's probably like, yay, it's Easter weekend, let's do it. Maybe, have some well-needed makeup sex or reconnect, whatever. Great weekend for a couple to look forward to. Can you imagine waking up on that Saturday morning saying, hey, babe, I did so bad last night that not only am I fired, but we got to get out the hotel. Oh, God. Can you imagine that ride home from the hotel to wherever you live and your wife is like, she just shaking her head. She just disgusted with you. Oh, God. I remember I had a bad show. I've had several. I've had more than 100 bad shows. None of them by far that bad, though. Well, probably didn't have the time, right? Because when they got that bad, either I got off or I got booed. But whatever. But I remember I was in this competition in Chicago. This is very early on. I was maybe a year in at best. And I got through this competition. I got through the first round because I had this joke about Morgan Freeman, and it was phenomenal. But this is how young I was as a comic. I thought, okay, it's competition. Now we're gonna do a second round. I got to do a new set. Not realizing as a comic, a lot of times you do the same set hundreds, if not thousands of times. I did not do a new set, so that's how I knew I was. So I don't even think I was a year in, to be honest. So I say, okay, I got to do a new set. So I'm writing this whole brand new 5 minutes or 7 minutes for a competition. I think about it now, it was the dumbest shit I could have ever thought of. Anyway, so I'm doing this brand new 7 minutes in a competition, and like I should have, I got laughed and booed off the goddamn stage because it was horrible. But I remember the ride. My ex-wife was there. And I remember how quiet the ride home was. Because, what could she say? Like, oh, you'll do better next time. And I didn't want her to say anything. So that's how I felt for this guy. I was like, oh, he got fired. And he's going to have to tell his wife, we got to pack our shit up and get out of the hotel by noon. And, oh, God, I just, as angry as I was on Friday, I was just as much that compassionate on Saturday because I felt bad for him. And he's a comic and we're in the same fraternity and blah, 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 blah. And so I get a call on Saturday morning and the booking agent says, hey, Trenton, all right, after things have kind of settled down, we're not going to fire him. We're gonna let him go. I had a conversation with him and blah, blah, blah. And that's great, right? He had a conversation with him. I'm sorry, people, I thought no noise. But anyway, having a conversation with him and we'll see how he does on Saturday and Sunday. And to my extreme delight, he goes up on Saturday. Now, look, I'm not going to lie to you. He doesn't destroy on Saturday, but it was at least 10 times better than Friday. He took out the music cues joke and this other bit with his phone, that was, throw that away forever. He had certain music cues in there that were like kid songs. He took all that shit out, thank God. And he had a adequate feature set, right? It wasn't bad, didn't blow the roof off, but he had an adequate feature set. Connected with the people, got off on time, connected with when we came to selling merch, they were cool. It worked, and I was so proud of him. And I don't mean this to be condescending. I was proud that someone could have that harsh of a night on Friday to the point that you almost got fired. Understand, I've been doing this 13 years. I've only seen one person get fired. God almighty. I've only seen one other person be told not to come back. That's a whole nother story that I'll tell you now that it came up. But so 13, 14 years, I've only seen this happen once. And so it was that bad of a set. So for him to come back and kind of regroup and get his confidence up and have that set on Saturday, good for him. God bless you. Good for him. Then he came back on Sunday, and Sunday was only 50 people. It was a much smaller crowd, much smaller audience, and he had to host and kind of feature, kind of doing double duty. And he did a phenomenal job on Sunday. Sunday was even better than Saturday, even though Saturday was probably quadruple the crowd number. Saturday was probably 200 people. Sunday was probably 50. But he had a better, even better, so he continued to get better over the weekend. And I'm so glad that the booking people chose not to fire him. I'm so glad that he and his wife got to stay in the hotel. I think it was a learning lesson for him. It was definitely a learning lesson for me. It was just how to handle that as a headliner. Because I kept asking myself over the weekend, how would I want a headliner to handle it with me? And so I tried to be encouraging. We're not friends, and we probably won't be friends. We just didn't hit it off like that. But I would work with him again. I would, and I'm just proud that he was able to bring it together and regroup and come up with a good set on Saturday and Sunday. And like I said, I'm not gonna mention his name. Please don't look for him. I'm sure you can find it if you look hard enough, but don't, because the point of this was not to blast him. The point was to talk about A, how hard comedy is, and then B, how we all get punched in the gut sometimes. We have two choices. We can run home and kind of tuck our tail between our legs, or we can regroup and we can suck it up, buttercup, and do better, right? I wish I could tell you that from the time I started comedy till now, I've had nothing but killer sets, but I would be fucking lying. I've had so many bad sets, and that's what success really is. Success is getting hit hard and falling down, getting hit and going down to the ground and getting back up. And so I'm super proud of you, buddy, for doing that. If you're listening to this, which you're probably not. But I learned a lot. I learned that, I should probably have a conversation with every feature now going forward. And just, try to be a teacher, but in a very nice and non-condescending way. Try to be uplifting and say, hey, are you going to sell shirts? Okay, we're going to say, well, I should talk about that in advance. I shouldn't just assume that people know not to be an asshole. I shouldn't just assume that people know they should ask the headliner. I should do that. Because I remember working for a headliner, John Morgan, and he gave me a lot of unsolicited advice, and it was phenomenal. And I think about him, he's Raging Cajun. I think about him and I think about his advice at least once a week. At least once a week, I think about some of the stuff he gave me. And so maybe I should be now doing that to the younger comics. The reason I don't, though, is because, again, I've only been headlining, like legit headlining, like 18 months to 2 years. And so comics may feel like, oh, he's killing, he's murdering the room, he's a pro. And maybe I am, but I don't feel that way yet. In my head, I still have a feature mentality in that I'm still very humble, and so I don't feel like I can just teach everybody something. But and I'm not saying that Raging Cajun John Morgan was not humble. He was very humble, but he'd been doing it long enough to know that, hey, this young guy could probably use some help. And so that's what I'm going to try to do moving forward. That's what I'll try to do moving forward. So I thought that was cool. I alluded to very quickly a story, and maybe I should tell it, maybe I shouldn't, but I was featuring for someone in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and this is maybe 2-3 years ago. I was featuring, so it was at least 2 years ago, and I was a strong feature. I've been a strong feature for a while, and I had a great feature set, and the headliner could not follow, and I'll never forget, later that night, the owner says, hey, can you headline? How much can you do? And I said, yeah, I can do 45. He says, okay, because I'm gonna let this person go. I can't have her following you all weekend. And I felt so bad. I didn't know what to do. Do I say no? Because it's not like I say no and he's gonna keep me as a feature, and then no, he was gonna let her go anyway. He's gonna let her go anyway. I need to be practicing doing 45 minutes at the time. And so what could I do? I know you're like, well, just have a less funny set. But that's not how comedy works, people. Nobody writes a set to be just mediocre. Even a joke that's not great, in your head when you're writing it, you think it's phenomenal. So we don't have this list of just mediocre jokes that we can put together. It doesn't work like that. So if my set was good on a Thursday, by the way, it was a Thursday. It wasn't even a Friday or Saturday. It was good on a Thursday. The owner knew on Friday and Saturday it was just going to get worse. So what could I do? And I'll never forget, she calls me Friday, and she was distraught as well. I would be too. And she's like, what happened? Did you notice anything in my set that would make them let me go? And I said, I didn't. I said, but I'm not going to lie, I really wasn't watching. I stepped outside to have a smoke. I said, but I'm sorry this happened. And she asked me some questions, and I said, look, I'm not being rude. I really don't want to be in the middle of it because it's an awkward position, right? You have respect for the headliner, and you work for the club owner. So I don't want to be in the middle of it. I don't want to be in the middle of it. And so that happened. And so that was the two times. That time, about 2 years ago, and this time, was the only time I ever saw somebody almost get fired. Or in her case, she was fired, and in his case, he was not. So I don't know. What do you do, right? What do you do? The other thing I wanted to talk about, and I'll get ready to close up, but I had – this is the first weekend I had, I think, or maybe the second weekend, but I had my personal assistant. I hired an assistant. Guys, if you're at a level where you can hire an assistant, do it. It is so liberating. It is so great. I cannot say it enough how much it helps to be able to say, hey, help me out with this. Do this for me. If you follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, you've noticed over the last month and a half, 2 months, I've been posting a lot more regularly, a lot more concise, blah, blah, blah. That's because I've had a personal assistant / social media manager, and she's phenomenal. She does a great job. We're learning together, right? We're learning together because I don't know how to give great direction. I feel like I'm a good leader, but I'm not necessarily I'm a great leader, but I'm a good boss, and I need to become a great boss. And so that means clear expectations, writing things out, and blah, blah, blah. And I just got to get better at that. But I realize it's the first XYZ years of my comedy career, maybe 10 years of my comedy career. I was just working on trying to get better as a comic, just trying to get better content and better writing and trying to get better. And I wasn't focusing on any kind of marketing or anything like that. But when you look at those guys, Kevin Hart, Louis C.K., Bill Burr, they all have a great team around them. And maybe I was arrogant to think I could do it on my own, but I can't. I submit to the universe. I surrender to any person listening. You cannot do it alone. If you have a great team, man, you can do so much more. You can do so much more. So I'm building a team, right? I got a social media manager, I got a / personal assistant. I need now to start hiring just local people to come to the shows and help me sell, like just somebody that's working a register, help me sell T-shirts, and another person to just take pictures. In a perfect world, right now, the level I'd have now, I'd have a social media manager, I'd have a personal assistant, I'd have a photographer / videographer, and I'd have like a checkout girl or person. I apologize. I did not mean that to be sexist. I'd have a checkout person. And he or she would just, all the thing they would do is just sell my shirts. Then I'd have another person over here just taking really good pictures of me at the audience. And whatever. But I'm trying to put together a team, and that's why it helps to have a day job. I got a phenomenal day job, I'm a great boss, because I can afford to do these things, right? If I make, I'm just picking a number, if I make $1,000 for a weekend and then maybe another 500 in T-shirts, 1,500, it's smarter, trust me, to sacrifice that 1,500 and maybe make 1,200 and pay $100 for this person to do your shirts and $100 for this person to take pictures. It's so much. Don't be greedy. Don't be greedy because you get that and you're going to get better pictures, and that's going to translate into more followers, which is going to translate to more money later on in the road, down the road. So don't be greedy. And this day job allows me to invest in myself. It's like my own business, and the day job allows me to do it. I've been talking about my T-shirts, and I realized I've never even brought my T-shirt onto the podcast. So I'm selling my T-shirt. My T-shirt reads, "It's never a convenient time to chase your dream," right? And I call it a millennial shirt or a selfie shirt because it's backwards. But if you're looking at it when you're taking a selfie, you can read it correctly. It only makes sense when you're looking in the mirror because, in my opinion, every day we should be asking ourselves, what am I doing to get closer to my dream? So feel free to get a shirt. I got to run out this week, actually, and ship a couple to people that have bought them online. So thank you for that. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I know y'all ordered a couple. And so I got to get that to you. What else? I talked about hiring a purposeful citizen, team concept, T-shirt, Pachanga weekend. So I think that's about it, man. I think we're in good shape. Let me go through my upcoming schedule with you just so you have it. I didn't do this the whole time. Yay! I gotta do that. I was supposed to do that at the front. I'm an idiot. Let me tell you my upcoming schedule, man. This weekend I'm with my daughter, which is phenomenal. So I got no gigs this weekend. Next week I'll be in Bellevue, Washington, out suburb of Seattle. I'm at the Parlor Live. That'll be phenomenal, guys. So if you're in Seattle, come out and check your boy out. Hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. I'll see if I can get you free tickets. I'm featuring that weekend. I'm not headlining. I'm featuring. That'll be cool to kind of take a step back and be able to work with some different people. So that'll be super dope. So that's 13th and 14th out of Seattle. Tuesday, the 24th, April 24th, I'm at Lestat's Coffee House down in San Diego. If you never have seen Lestat's or hung out at Lestat's in San Diego, it's one of the best independently run shows, bar none, period, in the country. I'm putting that out. It's one of the best independently run shows in the country. It's in a coffee house. Every Tuesday, they sell that bitch out. Every Tuesday, it's like 150 people in a coffee house. It's a young audience. They're always super nice. Just great. It's run by a guy named Dustin Nickerson, who's phenomenal. I'm going to be on his podcast pretty soon. He's going to be on mine because he's a dad. I think he's a father of 2 or 3. Super funny. He's clean. Dustin's great, so I need to give a shout out to Dustin. And then Friday, April 27th and April 28th, I go back home. I go to my hometown, Greensboro, North Carolina, performing. I'm headlining at the Greensboro Comedy Zone. So it's the first time I'm headlining in my hometown. I hope if any of my Southeast friends are watching this, I hope we can sell it out. I want to be able to sell out my hometown. That'll make me feel so good. So come out April 27th and 28th. Into Greensboro Comedy Zone. As always, guys, make sure you follow the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. Make sure you follow Comedy Pop-Up Instagram and Twitter. Every podcast on the network is just hilarious, from Dante to Candace, everybody, the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. So make sure you follow them, man. Follow me on everything. I'm at Trenton Comedy. On Twitter, I'm at Trenton Comedy. On Instagram, I'm at Trenton Comedy. On Facebook, I'm at Trenton Comedy. Snapchat, everything. Please follow me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys listening in. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much, man. You have a great weekend. All right.